because the Nuggets erased a double-digit deficit to take a 3-0 lead over the Lakers. Now the question that we have is the LeBron James, Anthony Davis era over with the Lakers on the verge of getting swept? And Zay, the mic is yours to kick us off.
Yeah, I think a split is inevitable. Not only from one or the other. I think both players need to leave the Lakers. I think the Lakers need to make that move immediately, for the fact that they need to recoup their assets to rebuild, and the Lakers never rebuild. They always looking for more stars to bring into the Los Angeles and try to reform in a sense of we have more stars here. Let's try to keep it going, keep the engine running. But they've been running on fumes for a very long time, and I think right now they need a fresh start with LeBron James and Anthony Davis gone from the team. I just think they had leads every single game in this series, and they have lost leads every single game of the series and are unable to come back and win them. It's unfortunate how Game 2 ended. Game 3 was supposed to be a fresh start, and even then, they could not maintain the lead and secure the victory. So I think, for me, I think that the era needs to end. I think Anthony Davis needs to go elsewhere. I think LeBron James, if he's not going to retire, go elsewhere as well. And this team needs to just a fresh start, and hopefully they could accumulate some assets so that they could create that fresh start for themselves in the near future.
Yeah, I think a split should happen. I think it's inevitable. I think when you look at this Lakers team, they had a team a couple years ago, and I understand that we consume a lot as sports fans and sometimes societal things that come into play, and we forget about things that happened a couple years ago. I mean, say a couple years ago in the bubble, around that time, I graduated college and I was, trying to find a job in a particular field that I went to school for. A couple years later, up to this day, I'm in another field that I did not, expect to be in, but that's how life happens and hits you in a couple years, right? And I think for the Lakers and from their perspective and fans watching the sport, we forget that this team had a team, the Lakers, that beat the Denver Nuggets a couple years ago in the bubble. And I think that team consists of guys that can surround and play alongside Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I'm talking defensive-minded people, guys like Alex Caruso, one of the best defenders in the league. Guys like KCP, ironically, that's now on the Nuggets right now. Avery Bradley, what he can do defensively as well. And they traded that in for offensive-minded talent and trying to go this big three, experiment that they try to go with Russell Wilson, excuse me, Russell Westbrook, not Russell Wilson, but they both trash now. I mean, that's how time hits you, okay? Literally a microcosm of my point. So I'm glad I brought his name up by accident because it's relevant to the point that I'm trying to make right now. And I think when you look at the Nuggets side, they got players that can read and react to the game and play alongside their big two in Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. And I think last night was evident the presence that they missed. Like, first of all, they got out rebounded in this game. And I talked about the rebounding battle, right? How the Lakers need to try to win that rebounding battle to eliminate the second chance opportunities of Denver, who, if you give them another shot, if you allow Michael Porter to see one go in, is all she wrote. All he needs is one, and then he's going to continue shooting them and making them. And I think they actually got out rebounded worse in game 3 in a must-win game. Like in a must-win game, they turned out their worst rebounded performance out of the 3 games. In a must-win game, they got out rebounded 51-39. And when you talk about the defense that they traded in for offense, when you look at D'Lo, who I said before this series, as we was predicting it, that he was going to be the most important player as far as the X factor. He need to play well. Game 1, he turned in that dud. I believe it was 6 of 20 from the field and was 1 for 9 from 3. Then in game 2, he caught on fire. He was hot. He chipped in about 20 points. And guess what? They had a 20-point lead. It just so happened that they blew that 20-point lead and they traded shots with the Nuggets, and the Nuggets won that trade with Jamal Murray with his fadeaway step back jumper that was at the buzzer, and they won that game. And now we get to game 3. D'Lo, where you at, bruh? Once again, did not show up. Didn't even make a shot in this game. Literally looked shot in this game as well. And that's the point that I'm trying to make, is that before we predicted the series, I said that the Lakers had to do everything right. They had to hustle They had to be the out hustling team here, and they had to make their shots. Anthony Davis had to be a monster, and they also needed to pray that they win this series as well. And the one game that was kind of going in that direction was in game 2, and they blew that game. And they seemed like they were mentally fatigued, even though they came out in game 3 hot, and they had that, I believe it was 8-0. They came out hot. They was playing well in the beginning. That mental fatigue kicked in eventually, and now they are on the verge of elimination. As far as the Anthony Davis and LeBron James, pairing and experiment, I think it's over. I don't think they're going to win another championship. I also said that on record. I believe that Tandem will never win another championship because the league has gotten better and their team has gotten worse. And I think they take no accountability here. And that doesn't surprise me because any team led by LeBron James does not take accountability. This guy always points fingers. I mean, first it was Frank Vogel they threw under the rock. Then it was the Russell Westbrook ordeal that they threw him under the bus as well. I mean, AD called out Darvin Ham after game 2. I mean, D'Lo literally did not make a shot and had the nerve to not even be in the huddle. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. They act like a bunch of premature divas, and that's why they are on the verge of elimination. And if I'm LeBron James, I would take a page out of my own book, where when things get rough and things get tough, I'm out. That's what he did with Cleveland. That's what he did with Miami, and that's what I ultimately see him doing with the Lakers if he does not retire.
It's interesting how you say that because I just feel like when you talk about the roster comparison, this Laker roster was really never really primed to do anything. It wasn't created well and it wasn't shifted well. It doesn't matter who they was coaching. It doesn't matter who they have coaching. This team is not going anywhere. The Lakers team was just not set to make a deep playoff run, and they kind of overachieved making the playoffs in itself. This is a team that shouldn't even be in a playoff at all. We're talking about a team that kind of benefited off of the Grizzlies missing John Morant for as long as they did, and him being out for the rest of the season. So I think like this Lakers team could not combat with what the Nuggets are able to do. This Nuggets team won a championship, right? And it's not far removed from that in terms of what they had to replace on their roster. Bruce Brown being gone wasn't just the only player that was impacting the team. Christian Braun was a rookie when he was won that chip, and then also on top of that, he's playing well now. And he played well that last year, and he's playing well this year, and you're seeing it. It's just a heart. They have a lot of guys on this team that's going to be willing to dive on the floor, do a lot of the little things that the Lakers have shown they're not capable of doing, especially a guy like D'Angelo Russell, who's so inconsistent shooting the ball that even looks like that now. I think it's interesting that, LeBron, he talks about, wanted to play with his son and, wanted to be in a place and play in the same season. I don't know if Bron's going to be able to. If he stays in LA, I don't think he wants to. After this season, I don't think he wants to continue facing that same disappointment year in, year out. There's a guy who's used to going he went to 9 straight damn NBA finals. It don't get better than that going to 9 straight NBA finals. So it's like, it's interesting what happens now when he's in this position where his team's about to get swept again against the same team, and there's nothing they could do about it. And I know he's extremely frustrated by that. I think he's extremely frustrated with Anthony Davis and D'Angelo Russell being his second and third options, and they're not doing anything to help alleviate that pain. So I think, a retirement is essentially the way to go if he doesn't want to continue facing disappointment in order, because I don't think he's going to win another chip. And I think he just needs to take what he has and just, go home. Oh, you're muted right now.
I appreciate it, right? They trying to mute me out here. I forgot I muted myself. But a lot of things going on around me. But you know what? Like I said, the devil's a liar. Anyway, back to the collection of examples that I was bringing up a couple minutes ago in regards to the Lakers not holding themselves individually and as a team, but individually first accountable. Um, it goes back to game 2. They blew a 20-point lead, complaining about the referees. Like, what the hell are you complaining about the referees for when you blew a 20-point lead? I don't get it. But once again, it doesn't surprise me. Another thing, too, I want to shift gears to the Nuggets real quickly before I come back to LA to cap off, this LeBron James conversation here, because I think when you talk about the Nuggets and why they're going to be hard to beat 4 times, it starts with the pick and roll with Jokic and Jamal Murray, that 2-man game. They have a great feel playing together, and the players, the surrounding cast knows how to play, alongside them and how to complement them as well. And when you have a guy like Aaron Gordon who had a monster game last night, when he's being that paint presence, when he's catching lobs, when he's shooting the ball well, when he has like 3 straight consecutive possessions where he's scoring the basketball, and then you have Michael Porter Jr. shooting the way he did, then this team is almost going to be impossible to beat. And it's not going to be the Lakers like, yo, why you can't beat this team? It's going to be reflective on the run that the Nuggets go on. That the Lakers, obviously there are things to be concerned about. And we having this conversation about Anthony Davis and LeBron, sure, but it's gonna at the end of this, my feeling is that we're gonna be looking like, it's just the Nuggets. They just a better team. They can't be beat. I do think they're gonna go on a run. Look, and I like the Thunder. I like the way how the Timberwolves play basketball. I think they might go up 3-0 against the Suns the way how it's looking like. And I think there'd be a threat. The Thunder is young. There'd be a threat. They could run with anybody. But at the end of the day, when the Nuggets are turning in a complete game, which I thought they did closely last night, close to a complete game that they played all series long, then that's when they are the toughest to beat. And we'll see who will be able to knock them off. But as far as LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I don't think clearly, and it's indicative of the record, that they're going to be the ones to do it.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets, like you said, they're a team that's primed to go back to the finals. I think the only team that's going to give them fits is the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think that what they're able to do with their wings, that what they're doing in Phoenix right now, they're stifling them all around. I just think that's going to be a great series. That might go down to 6-7 in itself, just off the strength that it's going to be a Jokic versus Rudy Gobert match. We all know that Jokic has Rudy Gobert's number, but who else are they going to send over? They're going to send like a Jaden McDaniels double, or they're going to put Anthony Edwards on Jamal Murray. Like, what? There's a lot of different possibilities that series can go if it gets to that point, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, real quickly, Zay, too. And I'm not sure if you're going back to LA because I was going to shift the gears a little bit. But if you're staying on the Nuggets, then you could carry on. But I do want to switch back to LA real quickly because I forgot some points I want to bring up. But it's your call.
Yeah, go, you go with the LA
All
Sports.
right. So not only was the Lakers out rebounded, and that's an issue in this series. But Darvin Ham's lineups and adjustments. So what the Nuggets did was they switched Aaron Gordon on Anthony Davis to stop the pick and roll, and it worked. And Darvin Ham did not make any adjustments after that. It's a bunch of things that's beyond just D'Lo disappearing like he usually do, and beyond just being down 3-0. It's how are they down 3-0? And I think there's a combination of things. I don't think you could look at this Lakers team and put the emphasis and blame on one individual. I think when you take in consideration the fact that they line up stink sometimes, they don't make adjustments. They coach. Sometimes I see him in the huddle and he's just drawing up bullshit. Excuse my language. You got guys not holding each other accountable. It's plucked up things, right? Rebounding, defense as well. It's a lot of things that the Lakers have issues with, and that's why I don't see how they move forward with the core of LeBron James, with the duo of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. I understand they may try to trade and do what they do best, which is try to trade for another star to put like a band-aid over the wound. But let's say I'm hearing Trae Young. Let's say you bring him. Does that help you defensively? No, it does not. So I don't see what the Lakers could fix and how they could fix this team to try to keep it intact as far as the two guys, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. And that's why I think a split is inevitable.
Yeah, I think the Lakers have just a lot of issues on our roster in itself. That just even with what was going right for the Lakers, like D'Lo having a good game, stuff of that nature, you saw what happened in the fourth quarter. It eventually just folds and crumbles down. And I think that's something that, unfortunately, with the Lakers roster is it's just a bunch of guys that don't mesh well, that don't fit well, and you're trying to just hope that something can happen, something could come to fruition. I think Austin Reeves is a big microcosm of that because they extended him on a contract, which is I think a team friendly deal, nonetheless. But he's not showing up in his playoffs at all. And it's not because he's not talented or he's not good. It's just because it doesn't mesh well when you have two ball dominant players in AD and LeBron James, and then he has to try to, and then also D'Lo has to get his shots up because he's a player who's only effective when he has the ball in his hands. And then Austin Reeves is a young player who's trying to figure his game out. How is he going to do that and be effective when he has to play fourth fiddle really to LeBron, AD, and D'Angelo Russell, who are not finding their strides early in the game, and it's taking them a while. And then when it's late in the game and everyone's trying to quote unquote take over, all they're doing is sinking their ship deeper into the ocean. And I think that's something that needs to that's why it needs to be addressed this offseason. Because they keep switching out coaches, and you have to understand the coaching's not the issue; it's the roster construction, and you have to remove a lot of pieces, the bigger pieces of the team, in order to fix, at least find out what the heck they can do to change the narrative of this Lakers team. But real quick, before you go, I wanted to talk about the Nuggets one last time. I think the Nuggets, like I said, I think a lot of their players don't get overlooked, like the Aaron Gordons of the world, the Michael Porter Jr.'s, Kentavious Caldwell Pope, KCP, Christian Braun. Like I said, like those are the guys who are really doing a lot of the gritty work for this team. Even Reggie Jackson, he's a guy who's been decimating the Lakers' playoff series. So I think it's like a lot of different guys are doing their work, their due diligence of work, and that are showing what the Nuggets are truly about, but more so what the Lakers lack in their roster.
Quick question as we close here on this topic, right? In regards to LeBron James in particular, you know, obviously he had that game too, where it was like a turning back the clock type of performance, where you can make the argument. I mean, Anthony Davis went off in that first half as well. He was one of the best players on the floor, if not the best player on the floor in that particular game. You know, obviously that fourth quarter, he was knocking down shots. He had some blocks in the game as well. I was like, oh my God, how did he do that? Made some shots where I'm like, he's being tackled. How did he do that? Do you think, what should LeBron James do if you was advising him, if you was Rich Paul, for say? Should he leave in free agency, you know, or should he retire? You know, do you think he still showed you that he still got game? Like, how do you direct LeBron James' last chapter?
Well, the thing is, we all know he has game. It's not that he lacks game or there or nothing or thereof. It's just that when you're talking about going to a team, a lot of resources get allocated to LeBron James. So then you have to realize, like, if you're gutting a roster and you're going to that team, are you basically is like, am I going to win a championship? Because that's all LeBron's looking at, championships. Go, no, but I'm like no, but it's about winning championships. And if LeBron James is looking around and is like, well, if I go here and I know they're gonna have to gut X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah, can I win a championship here with the basically the role players gone, the guys that do a lot of the gritty work? Because it's no longer the situation where guys are lined up to play with LeBron James. That's not happening no more. There's guys spread out throughout the entire league. No one's lined up to be playing for one player anymore. No one's lined up to play with Curry. No one's lined up to play with KD. No one's lined up to play with like none of these older players. Right now, it's a new era, the young era. So it's a whole new dynamic. Whereas when LeBron was in his prime, everybody wanted to go over there. They'll take a pay cut. When you play
To
now,
play with
LeBron
him.
James, you're the guy that got to take the pay cut. So it's like that's a question he has to answer himself. It's like, well, do you want to take a pay cut to go here? If not, then it's gonna be tough to come here.
Nah, I think that's a very good point. And there was a time where LeBron James was in the Eastern Conference, and you felt like all these other young up and coming stars in the making had no shot to beat a LeBron James led team. And now it seems like in the Western Conference, like you want the Lakers. Like I'm pretty sure the Thunder would have wanted the Lakers as well. You know, those young teams that can fly that the Lakers got to keep pace with. So yeah, and then you look at this series, and he's not even the third best player in the series. You know, that's where we are right now with LeBron James. But we'll see what happens with the future of LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Obviously, it does sound like an obituary. The series is over. We'll see what happens with the Nuggets going forward.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.